This week I'm making little matchbooks. I'm using up some scraps. I thought I'd share these, just these simple ideas with you. They work brilliantly as stocking fillers, stocking stuffers. So if you've got any scraps and you want to do some quiet stitching of an evening, then maybe this is the project for you. So let's have a look. Hello, my name's Helen. Welcome to my channel where I like to share a little bit of the art, craft and creativity in my world. So I'm going to be making some little matchbooks today. So these I thought would be great stocking fillers, stocking stuffers, and using up some of my scraps. So it's just a simple little pop in your handbag notebook that you could just jot shopping lists on or whatever you like. So I'm going to be doing some stitch bound ones, but you can also just very simply just staple them. So the process is the same. So I need to find a cover strip and cut some suitable pages for inside. So I've had a look through my stash of plain papers, and I've got a pile of oddments here. So I'm going to be putting together probably papers of a similar weight, although with these vintage ones I might just put together pages of an eclectic book of pages with using those ones. So I've even got here some torn out pages from a commercial notebook, so that can easily be trimmed to size as well. I've also been rooting through my coloured paper scrap drawer, and I've got some for the cover I want something a little bit firmer, but not too firm. So I've just got some paper that's been painted on, I've just trimmed off. I've got some commercial scrapbooking papers, so I don't know the weight of these, but they're not thick. And then these are just offcuts. These are slightly thicker, so I may or may not use these. These are just offcuts of something I did years ago with some, I can't even remember what they're called, but anyway, they're felt pens. And I thought actually these are ready-made covers, especially those three stripy ones. And there's another bit of painted paper. So yeah, I think I might. I mean, let's face it, this is pretty perfect to start off with. So, yeah, I need to cut some strips, the same strips of paper, the same width as these ones. And are these all the same? They pretty much are. So I could trim those so they are all identical, or I could have two are the same and one is slightly narrower. And then so if we cut some papers the same and go from there. Okay, so I have got two little paper blocks. I'm not going to make them very thick because they're just, they're just little notebooks for in your handbag. So I've got one that fits the same width as that one, and then there's another little block of paper that fits this one. They are slightly different. I could have made them the same, it doesn't matter. So what we need to do, I need to get some of my little paper clips. These are quite handy at this stage. So I want to attach the paper block to the cover. I'm not going to worry about this flat bit for the moment. What I'm going to do is just concentrate on this bit here, and we'll get it bound in first of all. What I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to decide how much overlap I want here. So this on this particular example is 2 centimetres. So if I fold over 2 centimetres, it doesn't have to be accurate. This is not a precise science, but I'm just giving you a bit of an idea. So 2 centimetres, so I want to fold about there. And that's going to be my first fold line. So that is where I want all of these to join up. So that is going to attach onto there at that fold line. So I'm going to, it is tricky. Working with mini things is tricky. I'm not denying that at all. So I'm going to put a little clip on there just to hold that in place. The next fold you want to make is one that is going to allow for the thickness of your book. So the thickness of my book is what's that? 2 or 3 millimeters. It's not actually that much. So I'm just going to line that up on here. I'm just going to make a little score line. I'll try it with my paper folder and see whether that is enough. My paper folder isn't actually very, hasn't got such a fine edge. This is quite chunky here, but anyway, I've made a bit of a groove on there, and yeah, that folds a bit better. So I've now folded that over there, so I can relocate my clip. So that's the beginning of my my matchbook. So the next thing to do is to put holes in. Now I've put 2 holes in these, so we're going to do exactly the same. I kind of want it in the middle. Basically in the middle between these two. This one isn't quite. This is a little bit further up from this edge here, so that distance there is smaller than this distance here. It doesn't matter. But you want to be able to allow for a tuck in. So I'm going to be working at about 1 centimetre, and this is about 4.5 centimetres. So I'm just going to roughly mark just over 1 centimetre in each way. So I'm just putting a couple of marks roughly where my holes want to be. Now you can make holes in a variety of ways. If you want to, you can use your bookbinder's awl. That is absolutely fine. You can go through there. If you haven't got a bookbinder's awl, then you can use this one's a bit bent and wobbly. You can use a woodworking one, which is slightly more chunky. There's not a lot in it actually, but anyway, you could use a more of a woodworking awl, and I do have I have a different one as well somewhere else. So that works. You can use a darning needle, or you can use what I'm going to use now, and that's my hole punch. So I've got an old-fashioned cranky hole punch. It's got different diameter holes around here. I've got it on my smallest one possible, and I'm just going to wriggle a couple of holes like I've done with this one all the way through. It is going to take some working, so I'm going to put that there as well. So let's just see if we can do this. So I'm going to hold it on, and yeah, I just literally am going to wriggle it backwards and forwards. I may need to go in from the other side as well. I never know when I'm quite through with these. Let's have a look, see what we've got. Ah, there we go. So I'm through, and just do that again the other side. So hold it on tight, and then I do a wriggle like that. Well, I don't do a wriggle, I wriggle the paper, and that feels a little bit easier now. Okay, so I've got 2 holes. Having holes like this means that they're easier to line up. It means that whoever you're gifting this book to, or if you want to refill the pages in the future, you can. You've already got nicely made ready-made holes there, and all you need to do is add paper again inside. So that's that one, and I'll do that one in a minute. I'm going to use some embroidery thread. I've got lots of, there's a runaway needle in here. We might as well use that one, it's a runaway one. I'm going to use some embroidery thread, so I can choose any colour that I would like to. Let's have a look, see what shows up nicely on the camera. Either of those would work. That's going to blend in a bit. So these are just random bits of old embroidery thread that I've had for a while. I think I'm going to use this purpley one, and I'm just going to thread up a needle. At this stage I'm not going to worry how long a thread I want. I'm just going to thread the needle, sew it, tie it and cut it off. I find that just as easy. So, but you know, if you want to cut a length of thread, then please do. I've actually got 2 bits there, so I'm going to have to hold that down in place. So let's just thread this. I could have a bigger, fatter needle actually, because I've got quite a big hole. Are you going to go through there quite nicely? Yep. Okay. Or should we have a slightly thinner one? No, let's. Don't like you. You're a bit rusty. So let's just thread a needle up. Doesn't matter. Any darning needle, any needle that you'd like to use. So this is going to be the front of the book. I'm going to have my knot on the back. So I'm just going to literally come up on the back, and you just stitch. So I'm going to do the end one. I'm going to go, so you just go in and out of this same stitch, this same hole. So one of those is going to go one way. I pulled it to one side so I didn't split the thread, which is something you can easily do with embroidery thread. So that's creating the corner there. I'm just going to go down through that end, over again, around the end, and I'm on the other side ready to tie, and I'm just going to tie it. Now I like the knot to kind of hide in the hole a little bit, so I'm going to pull it nice and tight and tie it, but tie it kind of where one of the holes is. It doesn't matter which one, and you can use your awl to hold it, or you can use your fingers like I'm doing here, or you can use your needle just to hold that tight to pull against. And you can just do another one. So yeah, any sort of knot just to secure that in place, and then just trim your edges. Trim your ends. Okay, so that's your stitching done. And all you need now is to fold the rest of the book. So what I do at this stage is I'm going to line my ruler up about where the edge of the book is. So I'm going to make sure it's nice and square on my cutting mat here. Do a bit of a fold like I did before, and take my ruler out and make a little bit of a mark. Didn't really mark at all. There we go. A little bit of a mark, just to do another line, so it folds a little bit evenly around the thickness of your paper block. Like that. So it's not quite creased, it's just sort of rounded. And then this is where you need to decide how long you want left to tuck in. So my stitching comes to here. So that is about where I'm going to be cutting. So on the edge of this orangey yellow mark here. So that's where I'm going to be cutting. So I'm just going to line that up, and where have you gone? There you are. And just trim it off. Okay, so that is my little pocket matchbook. Ta-da! So yeah, these are very simple to make. They're very sweet. They use up your offcuts, and they make cute little stocking fillers, stocking stuffers. The time-consuming bit is cutting your paper to size and putting, the relevant pieces, weight of paper inside. So it's finding the paper that goes inside. That's the time-consuming bit. But if you've got a guillotine and you want to do a session of prepping, then yeah, this works very well. The other thing I've wondered about these, so like I said, you could use all sorts of paper inside, offcuts of, I've got the exercise paper in this one. The other thing I wondered what would be a nice use for these is if you had really fine paper that you wanted to do some frottage with when you're out and about, and yeah, so you could have obviously a bigger version of one of these, so this sort of size, that you could easily, you know, when you're out and about, just have this with a wax crayon, do some frottage, and then tear it off when you get home and play around with some prints on your gel plate or something like that. It's you could have one of these as a collection of little rubber stamps, you know, when you're out and about, with the Play-Doh stamps or anything like that, and then bring them home and collage with them. Or you can just have it in your pocket and, you know, jot your shopping lists or you know, reminders that you want to pin on the front of your dashboard of your car or something. So yeah, that's a very simple way to do a little matchbook. Obviously, if you're a sewer and you know your binding stitches, your edge binding stitches, you can have great fun with lots of decorative stitches along here. But this method, by punching holes, it means that you can refill this if you want to. But if you only want to staple them, that works just brilliantly as well. So these are the original ones that I started off with. So I've got this staple bound one here, and my original stitch bound one. And these are the results that I did today. So I've got a couple here that I made. These ones I made with the hole punch. So they've got larger holes, and they are very simply stitched. So this one's got 2 holes, this one's got 3 holes, and yeah. So once you get the idea of what you're doing, you can start playing around with more fancy stitching. These are the 3 that I made here, are ones that I used the Bookbinders awl to make holes. So they're slightly smaller holes. When you're stitching with the Bookbinders awl, you will get push through. So yeah, it depends what you want. So these ones, the holes are very evident. These ones are a little tighter. So yeah, so I've just done a very simple blanket stitch on there, and these ones have got the zigzag stitches, and they're all tied on the back, but I think they make cute little stocking stuffers. So I think it's a good little project to use up your scraps. And if you're doing any fundraising this festive, this Christmas time, the holiday season, then maybe, you know, this might be a nice little project to do. I like using the embroidery thread. Can we see it in the sunshine? I like using the embroidery thread. That just adds a little detail to it and a little bit more colour. But yeah, I think they're fun to make, and once you get all your papers cut, they're quick and easy to do. And so you could cut a whole load of papers and covers, and there you are. There's your evening crafting in front of the telly, just stitching up some little matchbooks. So I hope you have fun with these. I certainly have. I think they're cute. I think they're colourful. They're as colourful as you want them to be. And yeah, there you go. Quick one for the holiday season. So as always, thank you so much for watching, for all your support. And until next time, bye for now.